it can be a little bit unnerving. So I appreciate the bravery in advance. As the title goes, I promise to make this as painless as possible. This subject, this content, what we're really trying to do is give you some practical tips, give you some things to consider with public speaking, because we all have to do it at some point with our jobs. And why not make that as painless as possible, something that you can look forward to rather than dread? So, if you would, go ahead and type your name and your organization in the chat, and we will dive right in. And I believe I know everyone, but just in case, I'm Leslie Whitty. I am with the South Central Workforce Development Board. So can you all see my chat? You can? Okay, let me get rid of that. Okay, so we will begin with this. I was trying to think of the best way to organize this short session on public speaking. And I like to do things in groups of threes. So I've got brain, body, and big idea. And those are going to be the three main points of focus for today. We're going to talk about how the brain works in public speaking, things you can do with your body, and then also concepts related to content and keeping you organized. So one more question. Can you all see the window of yourselves?
Yes.
Can you see your faces like on my screen?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just didn't want that to be blocking my graphics that are stellar. I do believe. So brain, body, big idea. Those are the three things that we're going to focus on. And I like to keep these sessions very informal. So if at any point you have a question, you have a comment, please jump in. I think interactive sessions are much more effective than just a straight lecture, a straight presentation. So brain, body, big idea. What on earth can all that mean? Well, let's begin with talking about your body, how your body responds to public speaking. And so let me get just a few thoughts. What happens to you when you're like, okay, I'm about to go give a presentation, especially for a bigger audience? What happens to your body?
Heartbeat starts to elevate, maybe palms a little sweaty,
Yes.
that feeling of excitement but nervousness at the same time.
Yes. Yes. Excellent. Somebody else.
I think Chad hit it right off the bat. So
Yes. A lot, and we can identify with those things.
yeah, he was spot on.
One thing, and it doesn't happen quite so often now, but one thing, especially early on for me, when I would go up, and I'm thinking back to college when I was first having to do presentations and, at Western, I used to get almost like red patches. My neck would just turn solid red, my chest. So I got to where I would wear turtlenecks if I knew I was going to give a presentation, because it just bothered me so much. So a lot of different things happen with the body, and we mentioned a bunch of them. So public speaking, you have a response with your cardiovascular system, respiratory, neurological, digestive, all this stuff. So just like Chad said, increased heart rate and palpitations, increased blood pressure. You breathe more shallow in much more of a shallow manner. Shortness of breath. You may feel choked. Dilated pupils. One thing, and I believe I've mentioned this in the past, one thing, the more relaxed we are, the more comfortable we are, typically, or, excited, our pupils dilate. So if if you sort of feel like, oh, things are looking a little blurry, it may be because your eyes are dilated. People experience muscle tension, trembling, shaking. Their stomach hurts, their mouth gets dry. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. And here is the extremely interesting point, that one of the most important things I want you to remember from today. All of these physical responses, all of these physical responses are the same whether you're experiencing fear or whether you're experiencing excitement. Your body doesn't know the difference. So these physical symptoms, excitement or fear or anxiety, the difference comes in how your brain interprets it. So think about that for just a moment. No matter what, these things are going to happen to an extent. But the way you can control these things is through your brain's interpretation. So if you tell yourself, oh, I'm scared to death. I'm going to, I'm going to flub this. This is going to be a train wreck. I'm so nervous about this speech. Why is this happening? You start spiraling because you're feeding into that fear. You're feeding into that anxiety. If you experience the same physical sensations, and I pulled them back up here, if you experience those same physical sensations, but recognize them as, I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited. I'm about to speak. This, I'm excited. It's going to feel exactly the same physically, but you are interpreting it in such a way that it is to your advantage. So one of the ways you can help control that narrative is by talking to yourself. Our tendency is, I'm scared. Oh, this is awful. Oh, my heart rate's going. Oh, that just escalates it. If you start hearing those type of phrases in your mind, the number one thing you can do is recognize it and turn it into something positive. I'm excited about giving this presentation. I'm prepared. One of my favorites is they want me to win. I guarantee the presentations that you're doing, the audience members who are there in attendance, whether it is in person or virtually, they want you to succeed. Have you ever been in a situation where you saw someone just have a complete meltdown giving a speech? Or, a partial meltdown? I used to judge speech competitions for high school, and I saw some kids really lose it. And it is unnerving for the speaker, but it's very tough for the audience too. Nobody wants to see that. It breaks your heart for the person speaking. Typically I would interrupt the speaker and say, it's okay. You can go ahead and sit down, because you don't want that person, you don't want that person to have to continue in that situation. So if you can tell yourself, hey, everybody here is wanting me to win. Everybody here is rooting for me. Those kinds of statements help your brain interpret those physical sensations as positive. I'm getting excited. I'm looking forward to doing this. I'm getting excited about this, about what I have to say. So I want to stop right there for just a moment. What are your thoughts on what I've told you thus far?
I use the reverse psychology on myself a lot. I just
Mhm.
tell myself, I'm prepared. I know my topic.
Yes.
And if I mess up, I'm just going to keep going because my audience has no idea what the next thing coming out of my mouth is. So if I don't
Yes.
acknowledge it, they'll never know that I messed up. So for me, it's just an overwhelming feeling because I mean, to this day, I still get nervous. If I know I have a speaking engagement tomorrow, I'm thinking about it all night. But I
Right.
just keep telling myself, you're prepared for this. You know the material. Now just go up there, deliver it. Don't use filler words and just keep your speech at a cadence to where people can understand. Because I'm country, and when I'm nervous, I talk a little fast, and that country twang comes out a little more. But just knowing that you're prepared kind of alleviates some of that, you know, nervousness.
Yes. Yes. And
Chad
if you
Spencer, I would have never thought you would have been nervous. I've
Every
seen you
time.
speak dozens of times, and I would have never guessed it. So you do a great job. So,
Every time, Amy.
well, my friend, I would have never guessed it.
And see, that's part of it. It's those feelings are gonna, or those physical sensations are going to come no matter what. So if you can say, hey, those physical sensations are excitement rather than fear or nervousness, it puts you in so much more of a positive state of mind. And study after study after study shows that if you go into a situation with more of a positive, a positive state of mind, you're going to have a positive outcome. So this is about interrupting that cycle of nervousness. And typically, the greatest amount of fear is beforehand. We're thinking about what could go wrong, what might happen, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, it's going to be a nightmare. Um, Once we're up there, then those things tend to dissipate. And I'll tell you guys, and this, I'm interested to see your reaction. When I taught college public speaking, the very first class, I told the students, and I would do this every time, the anxiety prepping for a speech is so great. We need to eliminate that immediately. So every semester, my very first class, public speaking, I would say you're going to give your first speech tonight. I typically taught night classes, and everyone in the room would be given just a very simplistic subject, an embarrassing moment, a Christmas present I'll never forget. And that, initially they'd be like, and I would tell them, we focus so much on what bad things are going to happen, how is this going to go downhill. I would tell them in advance, something bad is going to happen. Something unexpected is going to happen. And no matter what, and I would just have them speak for maybe 30 seconds. No matter what, keep going and just, keep forging ahead. And the speaker would step out of the room for just a second, and the class and I would prepare some sort of distraction. And all these things were silly, like, oh, turn the lights on and off. Somebody pretend to be a race car driver really loudly. Somebody act like they're having a seizure. This is as these people are speaking. And what happened is people would be so focused on the distraction and, laughing over, oh, that's silly. Look at that. Look at that. Nobody was really paying attention to the speaker. That person had 30 seconds to speak and they got through it. To this day, I did not have anyone fail at that task. And that to me was a huge win. Because at the end of the class, I would say, you have given your first speech. Your first speech is over. You made it. I guarantee nothing like this is going to happen. You're not going to have somebody hop up and start turning the lights on and off while you're giving a presentation for class, but you all survive these things. So the brain is huge. Talking to yourself is huge, and this applies to any situation, whether it's public speaking or anything. You might, notice those physical symptoms. It's the same whether it's fear or excitement. So, another thing you can do, if, once you're talking to your brain, so you've got the brain part going, the next thing is to relax your body. If you can start relaxing your body as well, it helps to calm your mind. And these are some techniques that I've used for quite a bit. The number one thing that I suggest for people is to force a yawn. So everybody take just a moment and force yourself to yawn for real. So make yourself yawn. Okay. What happened? What happened after you made yourself yawn? Did you notice a difference? Alexa, what about you?
I
Thank
couldn't
you for
do it.
yawning, by the way.
I've been yawning all morning and I couldn't do it. Too much pressure.
All right, maybe I shouldn't have picked on Alexa. Amy, did you yawn?
I did. I yawned.
Okay. What happened after you did that?
Well, my eyes watered, but no, I felt more, I guess I felt more relaxed.
Yes. Yeah, good job. Good job, Chad. Now, here's again, it's getting into the body mind
Yeah.
connection. Your body doesn't really know that that's a fake yawn. So it serves the same purpose as a real yawn does. That is an immediate way to lower your heart rate. Immediate. Any kind of situation. If you force yourself to yawn, it is forcing your body to take it down a notch. And I do that a lot. I do that a lot. Now you have to be able to position yourself to where people aren't going to see a lot of yawning, but it is, I don't want to say foolproof, but it is a consistently strong way to take your body into more of a relaxed state. So force yourself to yawn. The next thing is to breathe like a baby. And what I mean here, if you've ever watched sweet little babies sleeping, their bellies go up and down. That is how we're supposed to be breathing. Most of us don't do that. We have gotten into the habit of more of a shallow breathing type of thing. So if you would take just a moment, take your hand and put your hand on your diaphragm, which is like right above your belly button. Take in a deep breath. And as you exhale, your belly should be pushing out. So as you're breathing, you should feel your hand going up and down. That is deep breathing. And the more you can do that, the more it calms your body down. Do you feel a difference when you're doing it? And it may take practice. We've all gotten into the habit of shallow breathing.
It made me yawn.
Good. But all these types of things, they're meant to take your heart rate down. If you've got the positive self-talk in your head, And then you start doing these things to get your body to get in sync with your calm mind. The difference can be pretty dramatic. And then I've got stretching, like, do your neck. I'm not the best person to do that. But shoulder shrugs, anything like that to encourage your body taking it down a notch. And there may be other things that work for you. A friend of mine from Mammoth Cave, when I used to be a guide there, she, for whatever reason, if she pinched this area between her thumb and pointer finger, that helped her relax. So that was just a way, like a tactile way of getting the heart rate to go down. And key is finding the thing that works for you. Your self-talk phrase may be different than mine, but it has to be something that you will buy into. So, try different things. Mine is, these people want me to win. Another one is, I have something important to say. What I'm telling you is important, and I'm so determined to get this message across. That's my number one focus. So these things working together can really propel you in a positive direction. Anybody else have any relaxation hacks that they use? Those are my two big ones, the yawn and baby.
The Superwoman pose. I know
Oh,
it's supposed to be empowering, or the Superman pose, I guess. It's what it's known. Hands on hips,
yes.
chest thrown out, shoulders back, feet apart. And if you can hold that pose for a couple of minutes, it's supposed to increase your confidence, but it also helps me relax. So if
Ooh,
you ever
that's
see
a
me
good
looking like
one.
Superman, you'll know that's what's going on.
Yeah, we're giving away all our tells. We're not gonna start playing poker after this, because now you all know all my oh, Leslie's starting to freak out, so she's trying to calm herself down. All right. The next area is to focus on the big idea. Um, Going into presentations, I have been in a lot of them where people, their focus is, I'm going to tell you about my job. I'm going to tell you about my organization. What problems do you see with that approach?
You might lose your audience before you ever capture them.
Yes. And
That
if it
not everybody cares where you work.
Exactly. And I mean, that's true. That's true. And if you're like, oh, I'm going to talk about the board. Okay. Let's say I'm coming to your organization. Hey, we want Leslie Whitty to come in and talk about the board. That is such a broad topic. I'm going to go in 20,000 different directions because I really don't have a good focus. If my focus was tighter, how the board helps youth. And I'm talking about Ready, Set, Hire and different programs for youth. You have to have a topic. You have to have a main idea. And that's critical. Um, People will ask you to come in and give a presentation on your organization, and that's great. But you have to have a focus within that topic. Otherwise, it's just too hard to control. It's too hard to stay on topic because the topic itself is so enormous. Um, like Alexa, for example, it wouldn't be so much, oh, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about the board. She could talk about what specifically she does, what challenges she sees for new Americans. Like she can work in other things into that topic, but that gives her focus. So that's the big idea. And here are some things to keep in mind when you're trying to come up with a tight focus for your topic. The number one thing you want the audience to remember, if people don't remember anything but this, you're okay with it. And that's important. A lot of times people will not have the main idea in mind when they're giving presentations. So the number one thing you want the audience to remember. For me, the number one thing, and there's a lot of important things that we're covering, but for me, the most important thing for today is the brain and body connection, because what your self-talk is, that determines your state of mind before you present. If you can get your body to start settling down, that calms your mind. So that's my big idea for this presentation. It does keep you focused, it keeps you organized, and say what your focus is early on and repeat it often. Have you noticed how many times I've said brain and body?
One thing that this reminds me of, and it's similar to, you said, what other things do you keep in mind earlier? And someone told me this a long time ago, and it's stuck with me forever. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them.
Yes.
And it sounds like boring, but it is necessary.
Yes. Yes. People, I mean, we have so much information coming at us constantly. And think about it, especially now, we've got social media, we've got emails, we've got, all this noise coming at us. So we have to have, when someone's presenting, we have to have that focus to help us follow what they're saying. But Alexa, that is a really good one, because it's simplistic, but it's tried and true. That it works. Yes, absolutely. Give them a preview, give your topic, and then review. Very simple. And that's saying the same thing that you just said, just a little differently. All right, additional tips and tricks. So this is going to go into some of the additional things that you can do when you're doing a presentation. And I'd like everyone to be thinking about, okay, what are some things I do that might be able to help others with this as well? Because I have a few here, but I know that you all have more than that. The number one thing, and Shannon, this sort of goes into what you were saying with the Superman pose too. My number one, and this is for in-person presentations, but when you are going up to present, and this again, it helps start you off strong. That's when I consider your speech to begin. When you are getting up from your seat and you are walking to the front of the room. If you walk like you're in a hurry, you're frazzled, oh, let me gather all my stuff up, I'm going up, and then you get your place settled and, okay, I'm about to start talking. People have already started, evaluating, do I want to listen to this person? And if your nonverbal going up to the room is all over the place, then they've already tuned you out. So think about your speech beginning as soon as you step up. And even if you have to sort of psych yourself into it, you walk like this is going to kick some butt. What I'm about to tell you, this is going to kick some butt. I'm excited. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to, this is going to be a good thing. It's the same concept as when someone's going to a job interview. when I worked with college students, I would tell them all the time, your job interview starts when you pull into that parking lot because you're getting into the frame of mind of I'm about to go into a job interview. If you pull into the parking lot like driving like a wild man or a wild woman, you're, oh, I'm running late, and we've all done that. I've done that. But it impacts the rest of the interview. You also don't know who's watching you. The person who's about to interview you may be looking out the window and they see you rolling in and are just like, oh my gosh, this person's really, really struggling. So it is always worth it to take a moment and pause, whether it's pulling into the parking lot for a job interview or walking up to the podium at the front of the room. That's when it starts. People are going to be watching you from that moment on. So you need to own it. You need to embrace it. Start strong. And again, this is another really good one. When I taught public speaking on the college level, in high school, lots of people have the tendency to begin with, today I'm going to talk about this. Thank you for having me. I'm going to talk about this topic. That is not a strong opening. What are some ways you can create interest from the very beginning? Different ideas for intros or openings.
My next big speaking engagement, I'm gonna see if I can get some walkout music.
That
I
would be awesome, Chad.
I
That would
think
be awesome.
that would make people relax, especially if it's
Yes.
something upbeat and really positive that everyone knows. I think
Yes.
that with a real big smile. I have trouble manufacturing a smile sometimes. I'm just joking. But a really big smile and some walkout music, I think that,
Mm-hmm.
changes the whole perspective of why we're there, and then we can jump into the
Yes.
seriousness.
Yes. No, that I think that's a fantastic idea because it does. It lets people know, hey, something cool is about to happen. And it does. It puts the audience at ease. And that's what a lot of this is. It's not just putting yourself at ease, it's putting the audience at ease. So they're like, okay, you you may have people who are like, oh, this will be a chance for me to catch up on my emails. Well, if somebody's playing a walk-up song before they start talking, well, crap, I'm setting my phone down. I want to see what this guy has to say. You know? I mean, for real, excellent idea. Other ways you can start a presentation.
I like to start with a really um passionate statement or a joke.
Yes. Yes. Anything you can do to get the audience's attention at the very beginning, you're setting the stage. Um, a powerful statistic is always a good way to start. Some sort of surprising fact, a story. People love stories. If you can start with just a short story, people will start paying attention more. So it's a way of beginning your presentation like, I'm about to share something with you. Shannon has told me in the past that she likes to use a cautionary tale at the beginning. So, a variation on the story concept. Shannon?
Yes, I do. I love the cautionary tales. People love to hear about mistakes that other people have made. And sometimes I will I'll start with, did you know that every day in every way you're telling people who you are with the way that you present yourself, but what you might not think about while I'm up here, I'm making an impression on you one way or the other, but you are also making an impression on me out there in that audience. You are making an impression on me, and someday we might come face to face again. On opposite sides of the table, because I speak to young people who are typically looking for jobs. Someday I
Yes.
might be interviewing you, and so and once they realize, eyes are on you. Because I remember I used to just think if I was part of the audience, I could do any old thing I wanted to. Nobody was going to notice.
Yes.
I'm just one face in a
Yes.
minute, or one in many faces. But when you're on that stage, you see everything that happens in that room. So sometimes I remind them of that, and it,
Yes.
it tends to get them very focused.
Yes, yes. Yeah, if you think somebody's watching you, yeah, you're gonna, get yourself together a little bit. And I do think that's an excellent example. I remember years ago, again, this is a Mammoth Cave story, but there was an older gentleman who worked there who was fantastic. I loved him. But he was a retired high school principal, and he had a rowdy group on, I believe it was a historic cave tour. Just, sometimes you just had awful groups. And this guy got in trouble because because one of these kids that was just being a holy terror, like talking back and all that kind of stuff. This guy stopped his cave tour and looked at the kid and said, "You, everybody is looking at you." And that's exactly what happened. The entire tour group of like 200 people stopped and put their attention on this kid that was, that was obviously wanting attention. And he diffused that situation rapidly. He also got in trouble, which which I didn't think was really necessary because he was trying to maintain the tour. But yes, a strong introduction really helps set the stage. One thing that I remember, I used to give presentations, and I don't know if you all have heard of this guy, but a guy, Floyd Collins, who was a cave explorer, and he got trapped in Sand Cave, which is close to Mammoth Cave. Huge news story. He was in a narrow vertical shaft alive for 14 days. People would crawl in to feed him. I mean, it was horrific, horrific. But the way I would start my presentation on Floyd Collins is I would ask everyone to take their right arm and extend it like they're reaching for the sky. So I would have everyone doing that, and then I would ask them to hold it, because if you start holding this position for a while, it becomes really uncomfortable. And I would keep them in that position. Now imagine holding that position for the next 10 minutes. Imagine holding it for the next hour. Imagine holding it for the rest of the day. Now imagine doing that for 14 days. That one part of their body, they were experiencing what this poor man was when he was trapped in the cave. So that would get their attention because they're feeling the physical pain, just a fraction of what Floyd Collins did. So anything you can do to let people know my presentation is starting now. This is important. I'm bringing you into it. And whatever, different personalities, different things work based on who you are. As far as slides, I like to go with bullets, not paragraphs. We've all been in presentations where the slides are like a page out of a novel. And that's hard. That's hard because when we see words, we naturally try to read them. We can't turn our brain off. So if I'm talking and I've got, a big long paragraph on me, I'm competing with for your attention. People are going to be reading whatever you have on the screen. So keep it very short. Bullet points with just a word or two, to me, really help you maintain attention with your audience. Um, Find the friendly faces. You're going to have, when you're in public speaking, there will be some people who aren't paying a bit of attention to you. They are doing their own thing, no matter how great of a public speaker you are. So you just don't look at them. Don't look at those people. You're going to see the people who are paying attention. Find the friendly faces. Find the people who are nodding. There are going to be people in the audience every single time who are nodding, who are giving you nonverbal signals. I'm with you. I'm paying attention. And those are the people you look at. Tune out those others. If you've ever heard of, oh, imagine everybody naked. No, don't imagine everybody naked. No, that's just going to that would screw me up. I can't even go there mentally. Um, I say it's much safer to find those people that are being good listeners, that are being good audience members, and those are the faces you look at.
Also, I personally don't look anybody in the eyes, and that helps me. Maybe,
Yes.
I mean, I appear to be looking at everyone, but maybe I'm looking at your hair, or maybe I'm looking right above you, or something like that. And
Yes.
then I'm alone and just doing the thing, and that's what helps me more.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. And yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm the opposite. I always I think I'm naturally drawn to the friendly faces, and
Mhm.
I do make eye contact because I feel like it's more of a conversation with the audience when I can do that.
I think Alexa, you've raised a great point, because part of this is finding what works specifically for you. Once you find, okay, this is what works best for me, then that's what you roll with. Everything that I'm saying today, these are general types of tips. I think you can use all of them to a degree, but yes, absolutely, you do what works for you. And I have, with kids I've coached in the past, as far as presentations and that kind of thing for competitions. Yes, I've told them the same thing. And it's because they knew that if they got locked into eye contact, it would have a detrimental effect for them. So for them, it worked to, just sort of gaze. You're gazing, you're looking like you're looking at people, but you're not necessarily locking in. So, it's what works for you. All right. Call back to your intro. And this is, again, what goes back to what Alexa said. If you can call back to your intro, like, for example, if I was doing a presentation on Floyd Collins being trapped in the sand cave, and I had people begin with this type thing, after I go into, oh, Floyd Collins was alive for 14 days, Skeets Miller shimmied down into that vertical shaft and would feed him, area kids would crawl down into the shaft and give Floyd Collins something to drink, because he was trapped where only his head and arm were visible. So, after I would go into all that stuff, I would go back to, okay, now put your arm back up here again. Does this feel different now that you have heard this man's story? And it makes things more memorable. So anytime you can call back to your intro, that's another good way of keeping yourself on task. I've seen a lot of speeches end with, oh, Okay, that's all I got. Okay. You need to end with a punch. Give them something to remember. Tie it up with a bow. Call back to your intro. All right, again, brain, body, big idea. Let's review quickly. Tell me some things you remember about the brain.
It doesn't know the difference between excitement and fear.
Yes. Yes. That's the biggest one I want you guys to remember. Your body is going to experience those things regardless, maybe sometimes more than others. And the brain's interpretation of that is huge. Huge. Chad, were you going to say something, buddy?
Yeah, I was going along those same lines. I let my brain trick my body.
Yes. Yes. It's your brain. Have your brain work for you, not against you. What about the body? What are some things you remember about the body itself?
We should be deep breathing and not shallow breathing.
Yes. Yes. Breathe like a baby. And if I'm sitting down watching TV, I will try to make myself do that sometimes. If it's been a long day at work, if I'm stressed, that is a good way to sort of bring myself back down. And it's a grounding type of behavior. So anything you can do to bring your heart rate down, and yawning, it's a great way to do that. As long as you can do so without people looking like, oh gosh, they don't even want to be here. They're so tired. No. But it really does help your body relax. All right, big idea. What do you remember with that?
Find a focus and keep it.
Yes. Good to hear your sweet voice, Denise.
Just wanted to make sure you knew I was listening.
Yes. You've got to have a focused topic. That helps everybody. That helps everybody. And most importantly, it helps you. Don't have a topic so broad that you can't speak to it in a very focused way. All right. So hopefully you got some good tips, some good tricks, hopefully some new insight into public speaking. And I will give you one more tip. Sometimes if you can work something in that's almost like an inside joke for yourself, like, oh, this makes me happy, oh, I've done something here, because I don't know if you all noticed, but the main visual that we had with our presentation, let me go back. The main visuals included Jason Bateman. I put Jason Bateman on every single slide because that, to me, like, and Shannon just did a laughing face. For those of you that don't know, pay attention to some of the board's social media posts, because every once in a while I will Photoshop Jason Bateman into the background. He's been at job fairs. He's been he's been at lots of different activities. So if
He
you can
was
do
he was even out in the field in Montana on my vacation.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Anything, like, if you can do a little thing to sort of, give yourself a little bit of levity, then that helps you succeed. One thing that a friend and I used to do at Mammoth Cave, when we were giving tours, we would give each other lists of random words that the person would have to work in. And it was a challenge, but it like kept it fun for us. You know, how, like, I remember one specifically, I wrote down a magic 8 ball. Do you all remember those? It was like a thing where you'd shake it up, you'd ask a question and shake it up and look. And I was like, okay, one of your things that you have to get to work into this tour is a magic 8 ball. And I thought, he can't do that. And Chuck, the guy that he and I would do this on a regular basis, he said he said, we're coming up to a fork in the trail. There are two paths that we could take. Which one is the right one? Well, if we had a magic 8 ball, we could shake it up and say, should I go this way? You know, and I was just like, dang it. Because whoever lost, whoever couldn't get all their words into the tour, they would have to buy the other person lunch. So if you can do things that keep it fun for yourself, whether it's a picture of Jason Bateman, whether it's, whatever, but something to embrace a little bit of fun for you, I am absolutely for it. Absolutely. How many? And I'm sure Shannon did. Did anybody else notice Jason? Alexa, did you notice Jason early? All right. So let me get caught back up. Okay. Moving to announcements. What do you all have? What would you all like to share with the group? Now is time.
We are getting ready to start. It's called New Beginnings. It is a financial literacy class. It will be starting October 14th, and it will run for 6 weeks on Tuesday evenings at 5:30 here at the Good Samaritan office. And it's using a curriculum by a place called Family Promises. So each week we'll be covering a different subject. We'll start with budgeting and we'll end with taxes.
Wow. Well, that, I mean, and I could use assistance in those areas for sure. I mean, absolutely. Thank you, Denise.
Every,
Somebody else. Well, just as a reminder, any event that you have, any program that you have going on that you want everyone on the community partner team to know about it, send that to Frank. He's the one that sends out the meeting invites. So if you send something directly to Frank and ask him to share with everyone on the community partner team mailing list, that is a free, fast way to share information with people. So Denise, if you have a flyer you could share with Frank, that's a way we can help each other. And those kinds of things are extremely effective. Absolutely. Anybody else?
uh, I did have one other thing. If anybody's in Russellville for the Tobacco Festival, please look for, we will have a table set up right off of the square on 4th Street, and we'll be taking donations, which will be matched by Modern Woodmen, and we'll have baked goods for donations and sweet tea. And if it's colder, we'll have coffee too, but we
Okay.
always have sweet tea and unsweet tea.
Very good deal. When is that, Denise?
That is the second Saturday in October. It is the 11th.
Okay. All right. So if you're going to the Tobacco Festival, then you better go find Denise because she's the woman, and what she's doing is wonderful work. All right. So if there are no further announcements, we will bring things to a close. I would like because I've talked the past 2 meetings, and I know you all love it. You can't get enough. But I would love to bring somebody in for the next meeting. And it's not like you have to do a presentation, but I like to do almost like an interview type thing, and where everyone on the community partner team can ask questions as well. So if there's someone interested in doing that, please contact me, shoot me an email, and let me know. You won't have to do a presentation, but I would love to hear another voice beside my own. And I think it would be good for everybody. So if there is nothing else, we will conclude today's community partner team meeting. Thank you all so much for
I have an
attending.
announcement. Hold on.
Oh, yes, Laura. Laura has an announcement.
Yes, just to remind everyone of our Ready Set Hire program that we have 16 to 24-year-olds. If you know anyone that is looking actively for a job, please have them enroll in our program, because if they do get that job, pass the interview, and keep that job for 90 days. Remember, if it's a part-time job working 20 hours, they will get a $250 bonus after those 90 days. They do have to show verification. Or if it's a full-time job, then that one-time bonus will be $500. So if you know someone that is out there actively searching for a job, have them enroll in Ready Set Hire.
Yes. And Laura, we're up to what, like 928?
908 enrollment and 139 verified employment, and we have about, I believe, maybe 7 or 8 payouts that we have done. We have 2 scheduled for next week. One is 250, and I believe the other one is a $500 payout. So this is real, folks. This is real.
Yes. Yes, and that's one of the things that, that I think people are finally starting to see. Oh, this isn't some sort of gimmick. This isn't one of those, if, like, I don't know if you all remember, but years ago, there used to be a thing where you would sign up to win a home security system, like at the mall or whatever. And I got a phone call and it's like, you've won a free home security system. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize at the time that every security system was free. The way you sort of the way they got you was you had to pay for the monthly monitoring. But I was a sucker. I was like, oh yeah, I want a security system. But everybody wants a security system. This and not to dog security systems, but this is the real deal. There's no gimmick. This is an incentive to show youth that it is worth sticking it out. We're trying to cut down on job hopping. So absolutely. Thank you, Laura.
Yes, and of course, we also help with that resume preparation and interview practice and things like that. But if somebody is already out there on their own actively searching, this is just something else they would do to get some extra cash. And if they find that job now, that bonus payment is coming in around the holidays, maybe a little bit after Christmas, around, January. But by then, you're going to need some extra cash anyway. So have them enroll and Ready, Set, Hire.
Yes. Good deal. All right. Thanks to everyone. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate the time. Hopefully you've got a couple new tools in your public speaking tool belt. Have a good rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie.
Thank you.
Can you hear
See you
me?
guys.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wow, I've been talking several times. I couldn't get through. I have a question.
Yes.
Is it possible for us to get our calendar invites for this meeting for the year on our calendar?
I I think we can do that. And I'll just tell you, sending out the reminders, like I have to create a new invite every time. But yeah, let me get with Deronda because that would be good. And then